Silver Dollar sweet potatoes. This is a really delicious and easy recipe to assemble. It's a great alternative to French fries and potato chips. And if you like it so much, you might find you want to make a double recipe to ensure that you have leftovers for the next day. For this recipe, I recommend you have a food scale. If you don't have a food scale, just make sure to weigh the sweet potatoes at the store because they vary so much in size. This is a simple formula for roasting vegetables that you'll find invaluable for all kinds of different roots and tubers. You'll need 2 to 2.5 pounds of sweet potatoes. We're going to use red garnet yams today, but you could use jewel yams or white sweet potatoes, and they work just as well in the recipe. Make sure when you're shopping for the sweet potatoes that they're firm, smooth, and unblemished, and you don't want them much larger around than your fingers will wrap. If they're larger, they're likely to be tough and mealy. So it's better that they be more narrow rather than large around. So, simple recipe, 2 to 2.5 pounds of sweet potatoes, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin coconut oil or clarified butter. You'll need 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, dried apple pie spice or pumpkin pie spice, and an optional 1/2 teaspoon of finely ground unrefined sea salt. Really simple formula with that 2-2-2. It'll make it really easy for you to commit it to memory. Now, let's peel the sweet potatoes. Make sure you have a really good peeler so you don't have to exert too much energy to peel them. And make sure that you're peeling them really close to serving. I just gave them a little rinse. We'll peel them and then we'll cut them into silver dollar rounds. Make sure you clean as you go so you don't have a mess at the end. I find peeling the sweet potatoes dramatically improves the flavor. Sometimes the skins are bitter and sometimes they have a little bit of a moldy taste. So I do prefer to peel them rather than leave the skins on. Next step is just trim off the ends. And then we'll cut them into silver dollar rounds. If you prefer a French fry-like cut, you could cut them into fat French fries. Cut them about 1/2 inch thick, 1/3 to 1/2 inch, depending on how crunchy you like it. If you like them crunchier, make them a little bit thinner. Make sure you have a nice sharp knife, that's really crucial. And then we'll scoop them into the bowl. Now the next step is to toss the coconut oil or the clarified butter or ghee with the sweet potatoes. And you want to make sure to toss them with the fat or oil before you add the spices so they don't clump up. If you prefer, you can melt the coconut oil in a saucepan over very low heat. Otherwise, you can just let the heat from your hands melt it as you toss it with the sweet potatoes. Now, if you want to assemble this maybe an hour or 2 before baking, don't add any sea salt until right before you roast the sweet potatoes. But you could toss them with the oil and even the spice if you want to assemble it ahead. Make sure it's evenly coated. And now we'll add our spice and our optional sea salt and toss to coat. Now we'll spread them on the baking sheet and they'll be ready to go into the oven. Make them single file as much as possible so they cook evenly. If you want to use 2 baking pans, you can. If there's a little overlap, it's not a problem, but you don't want a lot of overlap here. Now they're ready to go into the oven. They'll take about 50 minutes in the oven, so check them after 25 to 30 minutes. You can stir them or turn them, but you don't absolutely have to, but you can check them. Our sweet potatoes are ready. They're fork tender and ready to serve. If you want them a little bit crispier and you've made them ahead of time, you can stick them under the broiler for just a couple of minutes to crisp them, and they're ready to serve and ready to eat.